Hello, teacher. Tonight, my team and I are going to talk about the practice we've been carrying out, which is called the speaking evidence. Well, here's my team, which is Carlos Alfredo, Mitzi Hukari, Salazar Aranza, Alani Rodrigo, and of course, Martin Alejandro. Well, let's get started. And to start out, we've got the first skill, which is called Be sure the sentence has a subject and a verb. And let's see what we got here. Well, let's start out with the structure. And as you can see, to start with a sentence, we must be aware about the structure this skill must get. And as you can see, we've got the subject plus the verb, and of course plus the complement. And here's a little note. A sentence in English must have at least one subject and one verb. So let's take a look at some examples we got here that are the following. Yeah, the first one says, my sister wants to play video games with me. And as you can see, here's a little highlighted sentences, which is with yellow and blue color. Yeah, the yellow color represents the subject, which is my sister. And of course, we got next to the subject the verb, which is want. Well, which is in third person, so that's why we got the S in the verb. And of course, the complement. And the second one says, Ronaldo has bought the dinner for his family. And yeah, as you can see, we got the same, the same examples of the skill number one. And let's go with the second one, which is called Be careful of objects of prepositions, which is the skill number two. And of course, we're just getting the structure over here. And as you notice, it is not starting with the subject at the beginning. We got now the object, which is next to the subject plus the verb, and of course this complement. And here's another note we must be aware about this. A preposition is followed by a noun or pronoun that is called an object of preposition. If a word is an object of a preposition, it is not a subject. So, to be understanding all this, let's take a look at the next examples, which are the next. The first one says, after Val finished all his chores, he went to the park with his friends. And now we got here the object, which is highlighted with a green color, sorry, which is all the object of preposition. After Val finished all his chores. And of course, we're just starting with the preposition after at the beginning. And then they go the subject and of course the verb. He and went, and of course the complement. And here's the second example we got here, which is Sarah has visited her boyfriend to his house with some friends. And now we've noticed that the subject is starting at the beginning, and then the object of the preposition it is going to the end. Yeah, I want to be remarking that it is not always the structure that maybe we must be following, which is right, but it is not necessary at all that be just following the rules. You know what I mean? Sometimes the preposition of the object can be going to the final, to the end, or at the beginning. It depends on the preposition what you are using. As you can see, we got here the preposition with, and then the complement. Well, with some flowers. Yeah, it depends on what preposition you're using, and of course to make sense of what you are trying to be expressing. And then here's a little example of those two skills I've been talking about. And to continue, we've got the next skills that my partners are gonna be explaining.
The skill number three, be careful of appositives. An appositive is a noun that comes before or after another noun and is generally set off from the nouns with commas. The appositive is an extra information. If a word is positive, it is not the subject. And the structure. The first structure, the number one is subject plus comma positive comma plus verb. The second structure is a positive comma plus subject plus verb. In example, the example number one is Andy, an excellent player, played tennis for a long time. In this case, Andy is subject and excellent player is a positive because it is between commas. Played tennis for the long, played is the verb, tennis for a long time is the complement. In the second example is the best cook my mom cooked chicken. In this case, the best cook is a positive because there is some commas after. My mom is subject and cooked is a verb. Skill number four. Be careful present participle. Um, for in the form of the adjective, present participle is the form be adding ing to the base form of the verb and use an adjective to base verb to base form plus ing. And example, the topic of the class was very confusing. Uh, confusing, confused is the verb, the base form, plus ing is confusing. For form of the verb, uh, structure is subject plus verb to be plus verb ing plus complement. The example, the number one is she is playing in the best team of the soccer. In this case, she is subject, verb to be is, a verb with ing playing. In the best team of the soccer is complement. The second example is I am going to cinema with my friends. In this case, subject is I, verb to be am, going is the verb with ing. To cinema with my friends is the complement.
Skill 5. Be careful of past participle. The past participle can function like an adjective and part of the verb. In part of the verb, past participle appears of two forms, with have and with be. For example, the family has purchased a television. With be, the poem was written by Paul. In the sentence A, purchased is part of the verb because it is accompanied by has. In the sentence B, writing is part of the verb because it is accompanied by was. Like an adjective, the past participle appears uh, when is not accompanied by be or have. For example, the television purchased yesterday was expensive. The poem written by Paul appeared in the magazine. In both cases, the verbs in past participle, purchasing and reading, are adjective because these are not accompanied of be or have, and there is a verb later in the sentence. Was and appeared. Examples of three forms of the past participle. We can watch the past participle in simple past participle of a verb, or an adjective. Like simple past, we have she painted this picture. In past participle of a verb, she has painted this picture. And an adjective, the picture painted by Karen is now in a museum. Skill 6. Use coordinated connectors correctly. The coordinate connectors function to join two clauses with coordinate connectors. These must be separated by a comma between the clauses. The usual coordinate connectors are and, but, or, so, and yet. The structure of the coordinated connectors function with clause 1 plus comma coordinate connector plus clause 2. Like note, always we have to use a comma between these clauses. For example, Tom is singing, comma, and Paul is dancing. Tom is tall, comma, but Paul is short. Tom must write the letter, comma, or Paul will do it. Tom told a joke, comma, so Paul laughed. Tom is tired, comma, yet he is not going to sleep. And well, this is all for my part. I am Alani and thank you.
Skill 7. Use adverb time and cause connectors correctly. In this skill, we have two structures. That is with the adverb connector between two phrases that have the structure subject 1 plus member 1, optionally a complement, plus adverb connector plus subject 2 plus member 2, and optionally a complement. The second structure is with the adverb connector in the beginning. That is adverb connector plus subject 1 plus member 1, optionally a complement plus comma plus subject 2 plus member 2 plus complement. We can say board with the adverb time and cause connectors and two examples. My examples with the adverb connector between two phrases, David failed the exam because he didn't study, and with the verb connector in the beginning, when it stops raining, Mario will go to the supermarket. Skill 8. Use other adverb connectors correctly. Structures. We have two structures with the adverb connector between two phrases and with the adverb connector in the beginning. The structure is similar, just that in the adverb connector in the beginning don't have a comma, but we can use a comma in the middle of the sentence if we use an adverb connector of contrast. This skill have four classification for the adverb connector, that is condition, contrast, manner, and place, like we see in the board. And we have two examples. My examples with the adverb connector between two phrases. I will be the best player if I train for some months. The example with the adverb connector in the beginning, even though I get a bad grade, I pass physics. The skill number 9, use non-clause connectors correctly. In this case, we have three structures or three forms. Firstly, we have to understand the form on non-clause, that is with non-connector plus subject plus verb. The subject and verb isn't the main subject or main verb. The structure is subject plus verb plus non-clause. the noun clause as object of preposition. The structure is subject plus verb plus preposition plus a noun clause. A noun clause as subject, it's a noun clause plus main verb plus a complement. Generally, this skill work with the WH question, named noun clause connectors, and we can say in the word the noun clause connector and two examples. My examples: noun clause as subject of a verb. The UPTEX credential indicates whether the student can enter the university or not. And the second example, she knows that he can do the dinner.
Skill number 10. Use non-class connector subject correctly. Our non-class connectors are who, whoever, what, whatever, which, and whichever. The first structure is using non-class as object. Subject plus verb plus non-connector subject plus verb, like this example. I know what happened. Our subject is I, our verb is know, our non-connector subject is what, and our verb is happen. The second structure is our non-class, is using non-class as subject. Our non-connector subject plus verb. Like this example, what happened was great. What is our non-connector subject? Our verb is happened and our verb is was. Then we have two examples. The using of non-class as object. She came with her boyfriend who was wearing a blue t-shirt. She is our subject, came is our verb, who is our non-class, and what is the verb. Non-class as subject. Whoever broke the window is in big trouble. It's important to remind that when we use non-class as subject, we don't use another subject like she, I, he. Our subject is only our non-class. In this case, whoever broke. And this always need to have a verb. Skill number 11. Use adjective clause connectors correctly. Our adjective clause connector subjects are whom for people, which for things, and that for people or things. Our first structure is subject plus verb plus adjective connector plus subject plus verb. Like this example, I like the book which you recommended. Our adjective connector is which, because the book is a thing, is a thing. So we use which. Then we use a subject that is you and a verb that is recommended. Our second structure is subject plus adjective connector plus subject plus verb plus our adjective connector is still which, our subject is you, the verb is recommend, and the verb of the book is was. It's important to realize what is the verb of the adjective or the first subject. Here are two examples. I break the bracelet which you gave me. I break, I is our first subject and the verb is break, which you gave me. This is our adjective. And the second example is the bracelet which you gave me is broken. The bracelet is our first subject and the verb of the bracelet is broken. And the which you gave me is our adjective. And our skill number 12, use adjective clause connector subjects correctly. Our adjective clause connector subjects are who for people, which for things, and that for people or things. Here we have the first structure. Subject plus verb plus adjective connector subject and the verb. Here it is necessary to see that she needs is the verb of she is needs, and our adjective connector is who because it's referring of a person. So the verb of the adjective connector is types. The second structure is subject plus adjective connector subject plus verb plus verb. Like this example, a secretary who types fast is invaluable. Our subject is a secretary, but the verb of a secretary is. Like these two examples. He listens to Katy he listens he listens to Katy Perry, who is his favorite singer. He listens is the subject and the verb, and our adjective has the verb is, who is. And the second example is Katy Perry, who writes songs, is very talented. Katy Perry is our subject, and the verb is, and our adjective is who, while the verb is writes.